This is Engage New York, Module 1, Lesson 8, Problem Set Debrief. When looking at rounding through 32 and 697 thousandths to the nearest tenth, hundredth, and 1, so whole, I used my place value chart. I found the two numbers that it's going to sit between, found the midpoint, placed my number. That told me which way to round. Same thing for the hundredth. Same thing for the whole between 32 and 33, rounding up. Then with rounding 141 and 999 thousandths to the nearest tenth, hundredth, 10, and 100, I found the two numbers that they live between, step 1. Step 2, I placed my midpoint. Step 3, I placed where my number, because I'm rounding to the 10th, where that would live on the line. Then I was able, step 4, to decide which way I would round. Step 1, found the two numbers it's going to sit between. Step 2, find the midpoint. Step 3, place my number. Step 4, know which direction to round. Then I didn't finish these, but I think you can do that by now. Rounding to the nearest 10, rounding to the nearest 100. So we already found the two numbers it's going to sit between. Find the midpoint, place your number. You know which way it's going to round. Here are our two numbers. It's sitting between these two hundreds. Find the midpoint, place your number, and you know which way it'll round. Problem 2. There is a division problem involved in this. How 132 and 132,554 cases in 100 days. Well, I need to divide this by 100. When I divide this by 100, I end up with 1,325 and 44 hundredths. Now, we're rounding to the nearest tenth. That was our big idea here. I found the tenths that it would sit between the 40 and the 50. I found the midline. I placed my number. I know which way it's going to round, right? It's going to round down. So I know you haven't gotten here yet, but I want to make sure you understand there's a division problem. And then we're taking the same steps. Finding the numbers that we're going to, where that number sits between, finding the midpoint, placing your number. Okay, the last two problems, 3A and B, I'm going to go back here. So the decimal number has 2 digits to the right of the decimal point. So if we round to the nearest tenth, the result would be 13.7. So they started it off for us quite nicely, and they placed the numbers for us right here between 13.7 and 13.8, or 137 tenths and 138 tenths. So I found the midpoint, placed my number. The number can't be at the midpoint or higher, because then it would be closer to 138 tenths, or 13.8. So the highest it can go is, and still have 2 decimal places, is 13.74. Then on part B, so based on what we know, we had, remember, this one was the maximum. Here is the minimum. So the minimum it can be. So here is 13.6, 13.7, our midpoint. Then you place your number in. If the number rounds to 13.7, the smallest the number can be, and still round to the midpoint of 13.65. If it were any smaller, like 13.64, then it would be closer to 13.6 and round down. So that is our quick debrief. I want you to continue to work independently and try to solve these to the best of your ability, then come back and check your answers.